You're watching 25 News Now at 10. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Karina Garcia.
And I'm Lupe Zapata in for Don tonight.
We begin tonight in Edna, where a 36-year-old man is in jail accused of killing a woman.
25 News Now reporter Trenton Whiten has been following this story and has more. Trenton, what can you tell us?
Thank you, guys. The Jackson County Herald Tribune reports the shooting happened earlier this morning. Here's a look at the suspect police arrested. Police found 36-year-old Ramon Palacios at the scene, and he says that he admitted to shooting his girlfriend. Herald Tribune writer Jessica Coleman reports that the 911 call came in just before 2 a.m. A person in the area called authorities when they heard gunshots near Cleese and Buffalo Streets in Edna. The woman killed is identified as Roseanne Martinez. Palacios is at the Jackson County Jail charged with murder. We've reached out to Police Chief Rick Boone, and we're waiting to hear back. Back to you guys.
Thanks. The attorney for former Uvalde ISD Chief of Police Pete Arredondo held a press conference today to discuss the issues with the Uvalde school shooting at Robb Elementary. He claims the tragedy resulted in improper criminal charges filed against his client. Arredondo's lawyer says the ex-Uvalde school police chief claims he did what he could with the information he had. He added Arredondo rejects the narrative that he prioritized the lives of law enforcement over children.
Under his indictment, the claim is that he should have set up a command post because he was the designated person in the school policy to set up a command post. It's not that rigid. That's not how it works if you are on the scene as a first responder. Every single law enforcement officer that shows up is competent and trained to set up a command post.
Authorities indicted Arredondo on June 28th on 10 state felony counts of abandoning or endangering a child in the May 24th attack that killed 19 children and 2 teachers in 2022. The indictment lists Arredondo as commander of an indictment involving an active shooter on a school campus that was under his control.
Now, an electrician's family is seeking more than $1 million in damages for his death.
Yeah, he died last week while working at a site that will become Tesla's new headquarters.
Lawsuit filed by the Gomez family against Tesla, Belkin Services, a company that hires contractors, and the Colorado River Project LLC. It says Victor Gomez was a journeyman electrician who was hired by Belkin to work at the Gigafactory where construction of the new Tesla headquarters is underway. The suit alleges Gomez was inspecting electrical panels before they were set to be energized, but it turns out one was already energized, in turn electrocuting him. He was taken to Del Seaton Medical Center where he was pronounced dead on August 1st. Dave Wilson is the president of the Texas Electrical Safety Association.
The first thing I wonder is why there wasn't a lockout, tagout procedure. And if some of those panels were de-energized and that one was not, how could that be?
Wilson says the lawsuit isn't laying out all the details.
I think there's probably more to the story on how it happened.
Meantime, a San Antonio personal injury attorney says the Gomez family has to prove gross negligence.
If you subscribe to the workers' compensation system, then an employee cannot sue his employer for negligence. You can only sue your employer for gross negligence.
I checked the Texas Workers' Compensation website, and Tesla Inc. does indeed subscribe to Texas Workers' Compensation through the Texas Department of Insurance, meaning the Gomez family will be held to the higher standard.
That could be a significant factor in this case.
Regardless of how the lawsuit turns out, the Texas Electrical Safety Association says the loss of Victor Gomez is a tragedy.
Being an electrician, my heart goes out for the family.
Now, the family is requesting a temporary restraining order, so the scene is not cleared before further investigation.
That's right, and that includes keeping the electrical panels as they are for now. Family and friends held a memorial this morning at Dickies Arena to honor and remember a CrossFit athlete who died while competing in a run-swim event in Fort Worth Thursday. During that event, a swimmer apparently began to have trouble and was seen slipping underwater. The Fort Worth Fire Department responded to the lake at around 8 a.m. to help find the missing swimmer. An hour later, they located the man's body, which was later identified as 28-year-old Lazar Ducek of Serbia. The CrossFit Games have since been suspended.
And a road closure notice for you tonight as you prepare for the upcoming week. The 300 block of Albright Road will be closed this coming Monday, August 12th from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. for the installation of a cattle guard. And let's take a first look at your forecast with First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Mac Bettis. Mac, what can you tell us?
Thank you very much. You probably noticed the thunderstorms have rolled through the area this afternoon and evening. They actually started up here near Wharton, and then they rolled southwest right down Highway 59. Got some nice rain in the city of Victoria. Heavier activity was up in Cuero at this hour. It's all farther west out toward Nixon and Karnes County. That stuff's going to fall apart. We may have some more tomorrow afternoon. We'll talk about that and take a look at your tropics coming up in just a few minutes.
Mac, thank you. Families of 3 students killed in the 2018 Parkland shooting reached a large settlement with the shooter, who agreed to pay $50 million each. He also agreed to pay a wounded former student $40 million, though the likelihood of them actually receiving the funds is slim. The family's attorney says if Cruz ever acquires the money, they can collect it. 34 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole is what he was sentenced to. Now to late developments in the deadly police shooting of Sonia Macy in Illinois. The deputy charged in her murder remains behind bars tonight.
Just a short time ago, the embattled sheriff who hired him announced his retirement. It comes just days after the governor called him to resign.
Tonight, growing fallout from the deadly shooting of Sonia Massey by an Illinois sheriff's deputy. The embattled sheriff who hired that deputy is stepping down. Jack Campbell saying in a statement he's retiring, writing, "It has become clear that the current political climate has made it nearly impossible for me to continue effectively in my role." Massey was gunned down in her own home by Deputy Sean Grayson, who responded to her call to police about a possible prowler.
Drop the pot! Drop the pot! Drop the pot! 19 shots fired. Shots fired! Shots fired!
Grayson, seen here in jail, was fired and charged with murder. But the sheriff has faced calls for his resignation from Massey's family.
Justice for Sonia Massey!
And questions about Grayson's troubling history in law enforcement. Campbell had insisted he'd stay on the job.
I am not resigning.
But he apologized to the community for Massey's death.
We felt Sonia, we felt Sonia's family and friends, we felt the community.
Campbell saying he and his family have faced threats. As for former Deputy Grayson, he has pleaded not guilty. Ariel Reshef, ABC News, New York.
One of the most violent January 6 rioters was sentenced to 20 years in prison today. David Dempsey, a Donald Trump supporter, stood in front of a gallows and called for Democratic politicians to be hanged during the infamous storming of the Capitol back in 2021. Dempsey's 20-year sentence is one of the longest handed out in a January 6 case so far. Prosecutors wanted more than 21 years for Dempsey, saying, quote, he viciously assaulted multiple police officers at the Capitol. More than 1,400 people have been arrested in connection with that January 6 attack.
And switching gears, it's back to school time for many teachers and students and staff in our area. Victoria ISD students return back to the classroom August 13th. 25 News Now Sunrise, Carolina Astrain spoke with the interim superintendent about what they plan to focus on this school year. You can watch and read that story. Just come to crossroadstoday.com.
And that leads us to your viewer poll tonight. You can scan that QR code right there on your screen to vote. Here's the question. What time do your children usually wake up for school? Before 6 a.m., 6 to 7 a.m., 7 to 8 a.m., after 8 a.m.? We want to hear from you. Thank you for joining us on our poll tonight. And remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit that like button and click the notification bell. Now stay with us. Israel braces for an attack coming up on 25 News Now at 10. Why Iranian officials say they are preparing for the offensive.
Also had Kamala Harris and Donald Trump compete on the campaign trail. We take a look at those efforts next. People were killed when a passenger plane crashed on the outskirts of Sao Paulo Friday.
At least 61 people were on board the regional twin-engine turboprop. Now, the airline crashed in a residential area in the city just outside Brazil's largest city. Brazil's president says it appears everyone on board was lost. Now, city officials say no one in the residential area where the plane crashed was killed. In a statement, the airline company says there is no confirmation of how the crash occurred. Now to the Middle East, where the Israeli region braces for a retaliation strike from Iran.
And we're learning more about a disturbing video reportedly showing 5 Israeli soldiers accused of sexually abusing a Palestinian girl.
Tonight, a new Israeli airstrike deep inside Lebanon, killing a local Hamas commander. The wider war threatens to erupt throughout this region. A car engulfed in a fireball, the IDF saying it took out a senior Hamas commander and recruiter in the Lebanese city of Sidon. Earlier today, Israel's Iron Dome intercepting rockets in northern Israel as Hezbollah threatens to retaliate more forcefully for the killing of its top military commander in Beirut last week, with Iran also vowing retribution against Israel for last week's separate assassination of Hamas political leader Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran, the US urgently pushing for a ceasefire in Gaza to ease tensions. President Biden issuing a joint statement with the leaders of Qatar and Egypt, promising a final proposal next week that resolves issues between Israel and Hamas in a manner that meets the expectations of all parties. And tonight, ABC News obtaining court documents in the case of 5 Israeli soldiers seen in this shocking video broadcast on Israeli TV, allegedly sexually abusing a Palestinian detainee. A judge rejecting those soldiers' appeal to be released from custody after reviewing visual documentation and medical evidence. The US calling for a full investigation.
There ought to be zero tolerance for sexual abuse, rape of any detainee, period.
And back to that US push for a ceasefire in Gaza, ABC News just getting a statement from Iranian officials at the UN. They're doubling down on Iran's right to retaliate against Israel, but they're saying that response will be, quote, timed and conducted in a manner not to the detriment of a potential ceasefire in Gaza. Tom Sufi Burridge, ABC News, Tel Aviv.
The FDA approved a new nasal spray as an alternative to an EpiPen injection. It's a drug called Neffy from ARS Pharmaceuticals, and it can be administered with a single dose to the nostril. FDA officials say this needle-free alternative is safe for anyone who weighs more than 66 pounds. Many children and adults need the potentially life-saving active ingredient to overcome severe allergic reactions. Patients are advised to discuss this product with their doctors before using it.
And some news for seafood fans and pescatarians. You should be cautious. Northfish USA announced a recall of imported 9-ounce packages of cold smoke capelin. The FDA says the fish might be contaminated with a type of bacteria that can cause symptoms including dizziness, weakness, or double vision. In extreme cases, it can even be fatal. Good news, as of this evening, no illnesses have been reported. And tonight, sources reported Donald Trump's plane was diverted in Montana late today because of a mechanical issue.
This as the race for the White House heats up as Vice President Kamala Harris and Governor Tim Walz campaign right now in Arizona.
Tonight, former President Trump's campaign plane diverted, forced to land in Billings, Montana due to a mechanical issue, according to the airport. Trump and members of his team seen walking off the plane onto the tarmac, continuing onto Bozeman on a private jet. Both campaigns heading west. With less than 90 days to go, tonight, Vice President Kamala Harris and her new running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, rallying in the key swing state of Arizona in a battle to keep the state blue. In July, former President Trump was averaging a 5.5-point lead over President Biden. Now, with Harris in the race, it's a virtual tie. Harris putting the Sunbelt states back in play. Red State in his first stop on the trail this week, making an appearance to boost the Republican candidate trying to unseat Democratic Senator Jon Tester. At his Mar-a-Lago news conference, Trump weighing in on abortion, saying it's going to be a very small issue in the election. while seeming to suggest he's open to blocking access to the abortion pill mifepristone.
Would you direct your FDA, for example, to revoke access to mifepristone? That's one of the things that's been discussed.
You could do things that would supplement, absolutely, and those things are pretty open and humane. But you have to be able to have a vote, and all I want to do is give everybody a vote.
Harris pouncing, saying he has made clear that he'd use the federal government to rip away access to medication abortion, effectively banning abortion nationwide. We will not let him.
Sources close to Trump tell us that everyone on the plane is fine, that the situation was not an emergency. Trump is still planning to hold his rally tonight in Bozeman, Montana. Meanwhile, the White House announcing that Vice President Harris and President Biden will hold their first trip together next week, the first one since Vice President Harris became the Democratic nominee. Selena Wang, ABC News, the White House.
As celebrities like Kid Rock, Megan Thee Stallion, George Clooney, and Jennifer Aniston show their support for Trump or Harris, a new Harvard study finds celebrities do play an influential role in promoting civic participation. It found when celebrities promote calls to action, nonprofits report higher rates of online voter registration and polls working up to sign up to those poll registrations.
While the study did reveal responses by some who said they were not influenced by celebrity voices, researchers say star voices are indeed powerful. But the report did not examine celebrity endorsements to specific candidates. Instead, it focused on the role celebrities play in nonpartisan voter participation efforts, like encouraging Americans to vote.
We all have a right to vote, so let's all get out there and participate. Right about now, the temperature is very comfortable, 78 degrees. Why? Because of the thunder showers that rolled through the area. Look at this, we were at 99 at about 5 o'clock. Then the clouds rolled in and boom, all of a sudden we actually cooled down. How much rain did we get? It wasn't really well recorded out at the airport, but we saw that whole thing blow through here. It's all falling apart at this hour, but we may get more tomorrow, so let's talk about that coming up in a moment. morning, everybody. We had some nice little thunder showers. People are going, what is the surprise? And I don't know. We were talking about it at 4 o'clock and then at 5 o'clock. I guess nobody expected it, but it did pop out here in the Houston area. And then it rolled to the southwest right down 59. And then it rolled into the city. So it was about 7, 8 o'clock where we got some real good thunder showers. And now it's pretty much over with. And let me show you one more time. You can see how the activity is rolling east and all rolling west rather, and rolling way out there and falling apart. A lot of this is driven by the fact that we got up to 99 degrees today. A little bit of heating, not a little bit, but a lot of it of heating, rose that air up into the atmosphere and cooled it down, and it condensed and came all the way down. It was nice. Now tomorrow we do have the heat advisories, and we're going to be under heat advisories for, I don't know, 2-3 weeks because the dome is not moving and the hot weather is definitely here to stay. These are the current temperatures, and I wanted just you to see how nice the weather was after the storm came through and the temperatures dropped dramatically. In fact, we got as low as 75 about an hour ago, and then of course it's actually getting warmer even as we speak. That's because of the rain. Now before the rain comes tomorrow, it'll be another hot, steamy day. Looking for the heat index to get up there to 110. That's when you got to stay hydrated, take plenty of breaks in the afternoon if you're working or playing. Just keep in mind, strenuous activity, you'll be perspiring a lot. Check on the elderly and pets, and always you can go to the nearby grocery store to cool down. In the Atlantic, we have potential Ernesto. Now the potential has gone up because you see how this is now in red. It's now better than a 70% chance that it will become a tropical storm a tropical depression over the weekend, tropical storm by middle of next week. And now the big question is, which way will it go? Will it continue, hit Florida, roll around the east, and then finally move offshore? That would be worst case scenario. Best case scenario is that it turns up a little earlier, turns around and misses the Carolinas. That would be best case scenario because they just had a tremendous amount of rainfall courtesy of Debbie, and now Debbie is way out here of the remnants, and the rain is all pushing out of the upstate New York. So they're going to get clearing tomorrow, but they got a lot of water that's got to drain off the coastal areas right there. The dome is in control, and it will be in control for quite some time. As a matter of fact, after Debbie sort of goes away, it's going to expand eastward. And so from Florida all the way across to Texas, we're going to be under heat advisories right on through the next 5 to 7 days. So yeah, there's not a lot of hope that things will change. Ernesto will be pushed away, and maybe Ernesto is not going to have much chance against the ridge when it hits Florida. We'll be talking about that all next week. Partly cloudy with 1 or 2 little afternoon showers popping again tomorrow afternoon. Hopefully you'll get one. You'll be lucky. Otherwise, it'll be quite warm. 98 the forecast high, 110 the forecast heat index. And just keep that in mind if you're outdoors having a good time. Have a great weekend. That's your 7-day forecast. Reminding everybody we do have a QR code. Love for you to scan that, put Crossroads Today on your phone, and we'll toss it over to Max with sports.
All right, thanks, Mac. Victoria Northeast Little League is ready to have some fun, celebrate this weekend. It's coming up here in sports. All right, yesterday here in Victoria, we covered former Victoria Stingrays Jane LaHoyda for being honored and having her name planted at the VISD Event Center. Well, we have some further footage from this event. Here is sports reporter Ray Robinson with more.
A legend, a leader, a mentor are just a few words to describe Coach Jan LaHoyda. And if you're asked today to describe the basketball court here at the Victoria District Event Center, you could just simply say, Jan LaHoyda. On Thursday, the Victoria Independent School District named their home basketball court after former Stingarees coach Jan LaHoyda. Her coaching career spans for 29 years. 21 of those years, she served as the head coach for Victoria High. Thursday's festivities all came to her delight.
Well, I mean, I'm overwhelmed. And for them to have a court named after me, I mean, it's unbelievable. So, yes, they've kind of resurrected the program because I think a lot of people had forgotten about how really good they were.
During LaHoyda's tenure, her teams appeared in 10 state tournaments. 7 of those appearances saw the Stingarees finish as runner-ups, and the other 3 were state championships. Karen Gaskin, a forward on her second state championship team, recounts the overall impact she has placed on the city and herself.
And so I think without her and her impact on our lives, a lot of us would not be where we are today. Her coupled with her words of wisdom, her harsh criticism, and the love that she showed to us along with the support of our parents, she was very instrumental in a lot of the things that we've accomplished.
LaHoyda's overall coaching career has a total of 707 wins and 264 losses, a record that was named a top 100 for coaches in the 20th century by UIC. Make sure you stay up to date with 25 News Now Sports, as the newly named court will host many games in the season to come. Ray Robinson, KAVU TV 25 News Now Sports.
All right, thanks, Ray. Victoria Northeast fresh up their appearance in Senior Little League. A return to Victoria here. Now it's going to be on Sunday. They got a parade to celebrate these young athletes. But before that happens here, we got some of the players to get some more insight coming up.
We're just going to have fun, show our people love for supporting us. Just feeling good. We're going to whoop the parents.
I mean, we're all going to go out there and we're going to try to have fun. I mean, of course, we're not going to take it easy on them. We're going to go whoop some butt, and, you know, that's the whole goal, is just to have fun and congratulate us on what we did when we were in South Carolina.
I am really looking forward to it, but we're gonna modify them rules. We're gonna modify some stuff so that everybody can hang in there with those kids.
Make sure you come and help celebrate these young athletes. Again, tomorrow at Riverside Stadium, you may expect Pamela Edwards, who you saw earlier there, to throw the first pitch at 7 p.m. and the gates will open at 5 p.m. And finally, over to the NFL. I mentioned that the Texans had their second preseason game against the Steelers. Well, they won today 20-12. Both starters C.J. Stroud for the Texans and then Justin Fields for the Steelers did play today. Stroud threw a 34-yard touchdown pass to Tank Dell. And also Daria Gumbawale, he ran a 5-yard score to help the Texans win tonight. The next game, everyone, will be at home against the Giants. That game will start at noon. Maybe we could see more starters for the Texans next week. We will see here in the future. That's all here in sports. Lupe and Karina, back to you.
Thanks, Max, and stay with us. Coming up on 25 News Now at 10, we're going to take a last look at your weather. Plus, a look at the new cotton candy burritos sold at the stadium this NFL season. State Fair kicked off in Des Moines Thursday with the yearly Big Boar contest. This year, Finnegan took the crown and set the record as the biggest boar to ever enter the competition. The heavyweight pig from Monticello tipped the scales at 1,420 pounds. The previous record was set in 2012. That boar weighed 85 pounds less. Finnegan's owner, Brian Britt, is known as the Big Boar Guy, and he had winning boars both in 2019 and 2021. That's a big boy.
It's a big boy.
Yeah. I've only seen one almost that large.
I want to cuddle it though.
Oh.
He's cute.
Oh, I'm good. Okay, moving on. Here's a retirement party everyone at work wanted to attend. Maybe that's because the man of the hour was giving out free kisses. Homeland Security Explosives Detection K9 Barrow and his handler, TSA agent Lawrence Sharp, have been through thick and thin for the last 6 or 7 years.
So happy.
Barrow's career stats are impressive, saving countless lives during his time on the job. Now Barrow is ready to retire, and he'll be living with Agent Sharp as just a regular hound dog with plans for a seaside vacation in his future.
Oh, good for him. Well-earned retirement.
Yep. And now we go to your firstborn storm team chief meteorologist, Mac Benez.
Just
I
say,
always get tongue-tied when I say it.
Just say,
always.
Don't read all that. Just say, here's Mac.
Here's Mac.
Hey, how are you, folks? Good to see you. Well, it's Friday night. That's good news, right? And it's the weekend, and you're going to have lots of sunshine. Most of your day will be very good, but very warm. So just consider in the middle of the day, you don't want to overdo too much strenuous exercise. Otherwise, we're staying with just a slow 20% chance of an isolated afternoon shower, kind of like we had today. And then that goes through the weekend, and through 7 days, we're just staying in August weather.
And the NFL's Arizona Cardinals are adding a highly unusual item to its stadium food lineup. Max found this one earlier.
Yeah.
Take a look at this sweet monstrosity called the Cotton Candy Burrito. The burrito fillings include cotton candy, ice cream, Fruity Pebbles, Fruit Loops, marshmallows, Skittles, M&Ms, mini gummy bears, and sprinkles. That is way too much.
That list goes on.
All wrapped up in some cotton candy. Would you guys eat that?
No, I'm gonna pass it out.
That's over the top.
Yeah, all righty. Well, thank you for joining us for 25 News Now at 10.